We're on.
Oh, yeah. All right. We are here, kind of IRL, with Hector. You guys have been hearing me talk so much about this total go-getter. How are you doing today, Hector?
I'm excited. It's crazy that it's Monday. You know, it's funny, like when you live this world, like every day is just a blend. And so it's cool though. I mean, I'm excited. I've got tons of work ahead of me, and it's 2018. Yeah. So everybody else seems to be in the mindset of going out and doing big things too. So it's been good.
Yeah, I cannot believe it's been over a week since we were hanging out at the summit, because I still feel, like in this blur, this whirlwind, so much motivation, inspiration coming from that. So first of all, I just want to thank you for bringing that together. And I'm curious, do you have like a top takeaway or something that's just still been resonating with you since we were all together?
I think the fact that what's cool is to see other people who were at the event commenting on each other's posts and commenting on each other's statuses, and to see that there's been this little like community that's already formed has been cool for me, because I think that was not. Well, I think that was like the home run. I was like, if we like nail it and we do something really, really awesome, people will, start to hang out with each other. And that's the end goal, is to create this, this community. But to see it happen after one event was kind of cool for me. And I just, I think that's the biggest thing, is how important community and collaboration is over competition.
Mm-hmm. That's definitely one of my themes for the year. If you are joining in now, I see a couple folks with us live, but if you are getting on this community bandwagon with us and starting to see how important it is to make like real friends, please drop a comment. Let us know that you're here. I really also have been thinking about Amanda's piece about friends before business. And that's exactly what we did. And like you said, we're already seeing engagement. We're already seeing awesome things come out of it. So I've been seeing some things, but do you have plans to grow from this first summit? Are there going to be more live events, more opportunities for folks?
Yeah, we're going to do something. We we have a baby on the way. So the plan that was actually, apparently there's a couple. So we'll see. There's definitely going to be another summit, whether that is in the summer or whether we do another one at the end of the year. There's definitely going to be one more big event. And what I love though is I love the IRL. I'm all about the IRL. So I have aspirations to throw smaller meetups and smaller events here on the West Coast and more locally here in LA, because I think that there's a lot of people who think that there's not people around them, and then they realize, oh my goodness, you live down the street, or oh my goodness, yes. Like I have someone was connected with that I'm gonna be on their podcast. Like he lives 2 streets, away from my in-laws, and so it's just like, it's funny when you actually get out in the real world, you realize that there's more of us than you realize.
Absolutely, Ruth. We got to meet you in real life, because I think it is easy to think we sit behind our computers. We've talked about this before. Like I'm in my apartment talking to thousands of people, but there's a missing piece now that we've transitioned so heavily to the online world. And something that, I want to get into a little bit with you that you've been speaking about in your live streams is how quickly the online space is changing. So you dropped a bunch of wisdom about net neutrality. We're hearing changes happening to the Facebook algorithm, what's really going to be possible with groups. So I definitely think one of the main takeaways from the summit and for 2018 for anyone is to make real life connections. But what do we really need to know, especially folks online in 2018, in order to sustain and scale like our businesses and our influence?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that you need to know, and I'll say, like, I'm no I'm no wizard or no fortune teller, but I think that you do need to know that things are changing, right? That what worked, in years past is not necessarily going to work, and what got you here and what got you to a certain place, or the unfortunate side is what got your mentors, what got the people that you follow to the place where they're at, isn't necessarily going to get people to the next step either. So someone may say, hey, just do Facebook Lives, or just do podcasts, or just do, and just make a Facebook group. And the thing is that maybe, but going forward in 2018, there's going to be a lot of new changes, but that also creates a lot of new opportunity. So just being willing and open to what else is out there, whether that's getting on, an Alexa skill, right? A lot of people didn't know that you can create like a little podcast on your Alexa, or Amazon's going to be offering ad space, or I talk a lot about messenger marketing. I mean, there's so many new frontiers out there for people to go out there and get. But if we just stay where you are, then you're really going to get left behind. And I think that more than anything, that is the biggest thing that people need to go into this year with, is that they need to change, and they need to be willing to adjust more than they have in the past. Yeah, right. That there's a law that just talks about how quickly technology advances is more and more rapid every minute. And Jennifer's saying tech stuff seems to scare people a lot to begin with. And now they think they get it, and then it changes, and it's even more frustrating. And so here's a crazy stat for you, Hannah, right? You might actually enjoy this. And this kind of goes along with that, the technology thing. I think like back in the 60s, it took something like a decade for the amount of information, right? For people to like absorb, X amount of information, let's say, whatever that amount of information was, essentially that was the time that it took for technologies to change. Well, that has shrunken from a decade's worth of time. And in that same time period, I believe it's like 2 weeks that the people will get the same amount of information, and essentially not only information, but the same amount of change that would have happened in a 10-year time period in like the 40s and 50s is now happening in 2 weeks' time. So just to think about what that means on a grand scheme. So in a year, you now have, almost a century's worth of innovation compared to your grandparents, right? It's kind of like, I don't think people realize that. And I don't think people are giving that enough merit, because they go, it's just Bitcoin. Bitcoin's, it's going to go, it's just a fad. Oh, it's just chatbots. Those are just a fad. Oh, it's just, and increasingly you're going to hear people saying, oh, it's just fads and fads and fads. And these fads are going to be things that change the world. Yeah, absolutely. Have you read the book Sapiens? Oh, I have not read it, but I'm familiar with it. Yeah, and I haven't read the whole thing. I've read bits and pieces. And what you're saying is reiterated in that book, and that if you fell asleep in the year 500 and you woke up in 1000, you'd be able to like get around, right? Like there might be more carriages, or the buildings might be a little bit bigger. But if you fell asleep in 1500 and woke up in 2000, it's just absolutely insane to think about. If you fell asleep in 2005 and woke up today, you know what I mean? So there are prisoners who come out of jail and they're like, what is this? What is this stuff? They were gone for 5 to 10 years. And in that 5 to 10 years, smartphones happened, social media happened, the internet became like a thing. So yeah. So I had to admit, when I started thinking about this and hearing about changes coming, I freaked out for a minute, and I was like, I just figured out Facebook groups, and I'm finally like totally on my own, growing a business, and all the strategies I used in the last few months and have been teaching other people, like, can I rely on them? But then I remembered I know so many other people who are smarter than me and have a more diverse skill set, that it is, again, coming back to these collaborations and really just having that mindset that like, this is the way it is. And if we can enjoy the process and look for growth rather than frustration. But I also thought about some of the mentors that I have that have been doing this for 20, 30 years, and they're not the people I'm like asking questions to anymore. Because that's great. You had a best-selling book, and I love, like, mindset is so huge, but now when it gets down to it, like, we need to find more people that are the innovators, that are in it, changing with the times, in my opinion. I don't know what you think about. That's interesting that you say that, because I was really into personal development. I was really into, like you said, mindset and things like that. And I've come back to that, but I went through a really hardcore period where I needed to immerse myself in what are the new tactics of today. Like, what are the new tools? Because I wasn't at a place where I could pay somebody to go out and learn that, right? And I think that the philosophies and the strategies, I think, are undying, right? You give value, I mean, there are certain inherent business philosophies that I think don't change. However, the ways in which you apply those philosophies differ drastically. And I think that, like, I came up in the direct sales world, and so prior to the internet, it was really about people who could withhold the most amount of information. Those are the ones who succeeded. That's really, it was the salesperson had all the info. So whoever was best at building up that they had all the info, usually won. And then the internet happened. And so information became, available to everybody. So it was no longer about who could take advantage of the most people, but it actually shifted and it became about who could be the most helpful. Because everybody has access to the information, so it's about who can actually be most helpful. And on a granular level, that happened with salespeople, but even more, that kind of shift is happening on a big level with businesses. And if you think about how, like, an old school advertising or an old school marketing person, they don't, for some reason, they don't get, like, the concept of, like, adding value and building a relationship and, like, creating this connection in advance of selling them something. And it's just this big, like, I don't know, it's this big, like, missing part of their brain where that wasn't necessary when they were coming up, because they could just put an ad in the newspaper and then people would call. But now you put an ad in the newspaper, nobody knows. You put an ad on Facebook and they're like, who gives a shit?
Who are you? Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that is huge. Hector just kind of blew over that. It's something that we say really aloofly, like building a relationship, creating trust, and giving some value needs to happen way before you get into sales or you expect to hit an income goal. I think that even
you ask for a call. I had somebody today. He's like, he messaged me and he's like, "Hey, do you want to hop on a 15-minute phone call to just chat?" And I'm like, "No, I don't even know who you are." Like, he hit all the right buttons. He was like, "You want to talk about chatbots?" And I'm like, no, I don't at all. Like, I have so many other things like that. And I was just honest. I was like, I'm in the middle of a bunch of things. I have, babies on the way, and it's just like time is so valuable. Yeah. But it was so if that relationship is not there, I don't even want to give that person my time, let alone my money.
Right. Well, thank you for your time. Something I definitely wanted to jump into, as we're talking about some of the challenges and the changes that are happening, like, why even get into this? Why leave our salary and our job and some sort of, sense of contribution?
I don't know if you do. I don't, like, as I'm looking into this, we left it like we did really leave in a sweet spot, before it got too kind of crazy. Like, even like a year ago, 2 years ago was really, I think both of us, like, left our jobs right at the end at the beginning of 2016. Was when I, went full time into this. I know you were kind of on that same. Hey, please, I'm talking to people. There are people watching. Sorry, Princess is doing a guard thing. But I think we left in a sweet spot. And so, to answer that question, I don't know that you do go and just create this entrepreneur thing unless you are absolutely committed. Like that's like, it's not just everybody should do it, because I don't think that it's an everybody kind of thing. But I also think that there are certain people who, if they were working that normal job, that if they were working that 9 to 5, are absolutely not cut out for that either. And I think both you and me are those types of people. So self-awareness, I think, is maybe the first, thing to think about. And if that is you, maybe it is just a side job. Maybe it is a side hustle. Maybe it's not about putting your entire livelihood on the line, because that is fucking scary, but then again, I think about it, and I had countless opportunities to go out and get a job, but it never crossed my mind. It never was like, it was like, no way, Hector, like, what are you thinking? So in all that being said, I think self-awareness is huge. And if you decide that entrepreneurship is something that you can do, building a business is something that you can do, that going through that forest, that jungle is worth it, then absolutely the tools are all around. Like the hammers are all around us for us to be able to do as well. So see, Alexa's in the back there just talking to herself. I don't know what's going on. But
2018, yeah.
But that's what I would say about that.
Yeah, so making sure you have some self-awareness, and that like getting into entrepreneurship is not just talking to your friends in your apartment all the time, right? There are like a lot of hammers that we've had to pick up and swing around, and mistakes that we've made, and moments where we wondered. But I also had those moments when I was, in my desk job. And I know you talk about your mom. My mom is in the same position where she's worked for the state for 30 years, and that worked for that generation. And as we talk about the online space changing, you and I both talk about the desk job space changing too. Mm-hmm. And so in 2018, maybe people in this group didn't quit their job a year or two ago, but like, what can we do in 2018 to start to create some of our own stability or comfort that we're not finding in other places?
What I forgot about is that everybody in this group has already kind of made that decision either internally or externally. They committed to themselves that they want something more, or they've like made the leap and told their boss to F off, and now they're doing it on their own. Did you get a chance to meet Alex Johnson at the tall guy? Yes. He was one of my old assistants at in my direct sales company. And what I love about him is,
when you watch this, say hello. He just joined the group.
I love it. He would. He's a sponge when it comes to knowledge. But recently, he's been someone who has kind of internally made that decision, but has been searching for what is the path to where I get there. He's sold a bunch of things. He's sold house products. He's sold insurance. He's sold legal service. He's done Uber. He's done all these different things, and it's like, he's someone who's very purpose driven. He's someone who's very, he's very centered on who he is. So what he's realizing all those things is he's like, that's not me. That's not me. That's not me. That's not me. And so what I would encourage you to do is you're going to have a lot of those things where it's like, you're going to have to find like what's not you. Right. I had the opportunity. I was in direct sales and I built a business, but I very quickly realized that like sales, like that kind of business was not for me. So it's kind of like these correction, sort of things. But the reason I bring him up is because recently he's been making money on like I brought it up during the event, but like organizing people's garages, and he's been making money like cleaning people's rooms, and just there's a thing called TaskRabbit, which is just an app where you can go on and you can hire people to do random tasks for you. Go and pick up your groceries, do your, and the reason I say that is like, he's realized that he needs to make money, and he's realized that there are these tools that he can pick up. And instead of going, oh, that's not the right tool for me, I'm just going to sit here and look at all these tools and wonder about picking, which one's going to work. He's actively going and picking them up, trying them out, and learning things about himself so that he can, continue to course correct. And I think that for people in 2018, like freaking A, I threw $100 into crypto, and now it's at $500, and I had no intention. It was like a thing. I was like, if I lose it all, whatever, you know what I mean? It was like, I spent more out at a night, of drinks. Yeah. And now it's turning into $500. So someone can literally throw in $10 into crypto, and and a week later have 100, and 2 weeks later have 3. And like, so there are opportunities. You can go to Dollar Tree and you can buy all the stuff on Dollar Tree and sell it on eBay. I mean, they're like there are so many opportunities and so many hammers that you can pick up, that to just say, oh, I don't know which one is right for me is, I think that's just an excuse.
Analysis paralysis, right? Yeah, and I think the other thing too is so many people, especially folks that I work with, are waiting until they figured out like, all right, what's my ideal thing going to look like? What's my business name? How much am I going to charge for it's like, get started. Like, what I started coaching on is completely different than where I am now. And so being willing to just like get in there. And I love how you talk about pick up hammers, try, learn, help people along the way. And there's like money is one form of energy. Now there's multiple with crypto and all this other stuff. And like, we can always create more of that energy. I don't want people to hold back and think that there aren't limitless opportunities because they're hearing, oh, desk jobs aren't going to last. Oh, Facebook groups aren't going to last. Like, neither are you. Right?
Yeah. And I think it's just like, we could have sat around and said the same thing and you know, about email or about, you know, MySpace or whatever. It was just like, you know, a year ago, we were like, here's the thing that's working right now. And so we started a Facebook group and we built our, you know, we built our presence and like, and I guarantee you for me, if Facebook wasn't like the thing, I would have found something else. I would have just gone somewhere else to create what I created over the last year. So it wasn't like I was romantic about the platform. It wasn't like, oh, I never grew up wanting to be like a Facebook marketer or like a Facebooker. You know, it was never about that. It was like, here's this opportunity. Oh, I did it once. It kind of worked. Oh my goodness, people actually like paid attention. Let me try it again. Oh, it got a little better. You know what I mean? And then a few months later, it's like, oh my goodness. I looked at yesterday. And yesterday, I had people watch my videos for something like it was like 11 combined hours. Like that's wild, I think. You know what I mean? Like 11, like now it was spread out over everybody, you know, who was watching. But that for me is just to think that with a phone, you know, that you could create something like that. But I remember the first time I was like, is this Facebook Live? Like, can I do this? Is it worth it? Is this like... You know, so I think it's about looking around at the, you know, to keep the analogy going, looking around at the hammers that are available and the hammers that you can use and just picking up, you know, just testing and seeing what works.
Totally. So speaking of which, you are saying, you know, in the past year, things have changed a lot for you. I know your business has pivoted, but you're always like based on your why, right? And I know you're on a mission to make like entrepreneur and digital marketing skills super accessible. And one thing that you seem to be very passionate about, you don't speak so much outwardly about it, like in person, chatbots. Talk to us about chatbots.
Well, going back to your thing, right? Like I had built a business. I built a 7-figure business. We had done 7 figures 3 years in a row. I have the stupid trophy back there based on how much we sold. You know what I mean? Like, I had built a business and I was miserable. And I was like, I know that I want to be an entrepreneur. I knew that was in it for me, but this style of business was not for me. So I got really into how do I find that why? Because that made, you know, when people go, oh, just follow your passion, follow your purpose. Like that's the most frustrating thing for me. Cause like that's not pragmatic. I'm a very pragmatic person. And it's just like, to them, it's like this woo-woo divine thing that you're supposed to know what your life's mission is meant to be. And it's like, wait a minute, I'm just supposed to like leave that to chance. So me, I did a ton of research. I've got like a bunch of books and stuff all around me. Like I'm huge into learning. So I went on a mission and just started reading, and, you know, everything became about like, you know, starting with why. And for me, it's about helping millennials, helping young people, you know, people like me and you make more money and do it in a meaningful way. So, you know, there used to be this thing about, you know, businesses and corporations are just about profit, and then nonprofits are just about helping people. And I think that wall has gone away. And now there are nonprofits that are making lots of money, and there are businesses that are doing lots of good. And so in the future, I don't think that there will be a divide between those two. But with all that being said, the reason I feel so passionately about chatbots and I kind of willingly backed into it is because it allowed for me to, like you said, it like allowed this access, allowed for me to create a list of people, allowed for me to create a list of subscribers, allowed for me to follow up with them, and allowed me to build this business. You know, everything that you needed to build a business, like, was free now. Like, it blew my mind that the software now became available. And not only was it free, but it was better than every other way of doing it out there. It was better than email. It was better than, like, you know, it was higher open rates than email. It was cheaper than text message marketing. Obviously, it's not direct mail. Like, I spent $30,000 in 2016 on direct mail, like literally sending papers in the mail. I spent $30,000. And so it's like, for me, I'm always looking for what are the ways in which we can get our message out there in the most, not only effective way, but if it's cheap, oh my goodness, like I'm all behind it. So I started playing with them. I started utilizing messenger marketing back at the early big parts of 2016, just because my own funnels were sucking. So I was looking for answers for that. I was looking for answers for how can I do a better job for my clients. because I also, do marketing for other businesses as well. And just started working with them and started talking about them because I was having good results. And one person reached out and he's like, you need to tell people, like, you need to just like stop being a little bitch about like this and go in because people need this and people this is really helping people. So, and all that to say that now, the things that you could do with email marketing, you could do with Facebook Messenger. The same reasons that people used to ask for your phone number, you can do right on Facebook Messenger. So you don't need 1-800 numbers. You don't need, it's really even turned into its own kind of sales staff. So for me, I had a team one time in my business. I have a headache thinking about it. I had 13 employees in like a call center. I had like 13. They were all the most amazing women ever because guys are jerks on the phone. But there was just like 13 women in a room and just like calling and answering questions and following up with people, and all of that. Not only was it expensive, but it was it was a headache. Not because just 13 people is a headache, right? Managing all those people could be put into a software that's literally for free. So for me, it was just it was a big eye-opening experience. And
like that opportunity to pursue your mission. It wasn't something you laid up as a kid thinking, I'm going to do chatbots. Like when a tool fits your mission and can get you closer to that finish line, you seize it and you share it with as many people as possible. And I think that's so huge for this group to hear, and that your what or your how may not be clear to you. As long as you keep following your why and you're in activity and you're learning, like, this works, this doesn't, this is helpful for others, this is not, that's how you get to the, the income and the impact that you desire. Yeah. You bring up a good point in that it's just like, I don't know. And since I've been in internet marketing as well, like, I don't know how many different products I've sold. And like, just like launched the product. I was like, damn, that didn't work. Okay, let me try something else. Launch the product. All right, that was a little better. Like, okay, let me do it this way, and it's like, it really, it took me, I don't know, three or four like real product launches to figure out the one that's finally converting. And even as an agency, we've gone through 3 or 4, maybe 5 iterations of services to finally land on the one that people actually want. And that's because we were brand new. So I think that people, they get stuck on like, all right, I want to offer this type of product and this type of service. And it's like, I want to shove this type of thing down my people's throats because this is what I want. And I think that's just a really selfish, I don't know. I think it's just a selfish way of looking at business. Yeah, it's definitely not a one size fits all for what you create or even what you consume. And so I don't know about you, but I've been seeing so many, and like I've done this. So I'm not saying that it's like shame on you. The like 5 steps to do this, or how I earned 40 grand this week. Go do exactly what I did. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
It's hard, and it's like, I know, cause I've fallen into it too. And I try and be I'm a terrible liar. My fiance, she'll tell you, like, she knows exactly what I'm like, even trying to like be nice about something because I just can't do it. So when I see that stuff, it really bothers me. And the challenge is like, that people bite on it. It's so baity and it works. And so, I think I'm also a believer, and here's something that I've told to a lot of new entrepreneurs that I've coached, is that you have to sell people what they want and give them what they need, and not be and once again, not be romantic of the mindset or where your customer is, and not and expecting them to be already where you're at. So sometimes those bait clicky, kind of posts can get people's attention, and I don't know, because the challenge is that if you don't use them, it's kind of like the Lance Armstrong effect. If you don't use them, how can you keep up? How do you stay relevant sometimes? So that's the challenge. But I think that as long as when you are teaching and especially selling something, that it is, purpose driven and value centered, that is really there in the best interest of your clients, then the way that you get them in the door, now don't lie, but if it is 5 steps to this, and that 5 steps to this is going to give them an epiphany or a moment that's going to get them one step closer to taking action, then I do think that on the internet game, you need to breadcrumb people a lot, for better or worse. And so those are what those are, and they're a tactic. You know, is it the end all be all? Absolutely not. Because I know a ton of people who are really successful by going the opposite way. And instead of leaving these, you know, very surface level things, they force you to go through deep level content. And they know that those who get through the deep content are the ones that they want to work with and sell to anyways. Yeah. So I just think it's a different approach. You know, some people are trying to hit the masses, and if you want to hit the masses, then you need to breadcrumb people. But for you, frankly, I know a lot of what you teach, it's more about finding those 1 or 2 or 3, you know, those select individuals out of this big group. So for you, you know, practically speaking, like if I was running a Facebook campaign, instead of doing an opt-in, I would target people who have watched 95% of the video. I would go like that route. Instead of going wide, I would go really deep because of what you preach.
Yeah, totally. And Jennifer's saying, I feel like the 6 steps is always leading to a pitch. And she's right. It is a marketing tactic. And I sort of had a crisis about this because you want people to break down the steps and have it be accessible. Yet coaching and business development and figuring out your dreams and scaling that is not, like I said, this cookie cutter 5 clear steps. So folks that are willing to move past those 6 steps, like they take it and then they have questions or they know that there's more. Yes, those are the people.
I recorded 21 videos last night for a course that we're about to launch for our agency. I have like a double life. It's like funny, people don't even know. I have like this other business that is actually I'm pretty excited about. It's actually more profitable than, I don't know. They're both great. But point is that as I was recording that, I'm like, oh, this is not even it. This is the tip of the iceberg. Like there's literally hours of content, and I've gone through I've fleshed out all the steps, and I'm like, oh, unless we're in there doing it together, there's no way that and that's the challenge. And that's the challenge. That's the great thing about a coach, is that they can step in and really offer that kind of mastery type insight that you can't get from a book or from a YouTube video or even, from a course. So from all my courses, I make sure to offer not only it's not just videos, but there is a coaching or a mastermind or some sort of community aspect where they're able to get that kind of deeper, knowledge.
Yeah. An ebook has never changed my life.
I don't know if I've ever finished an ebook.
They serve a purpose. Okay. Like, spoiler alert, I'm releasing my ebook this week. Anyway, yeah, but that's not it. Like, that's just about more people like understanding the entry point, right? And like getting some starter steps, building some confidence. Right. Like, an ebook is not going to create your personalized business plan. It can get you more awareness, more momentum. But I mean, it's like another personal disclosure. Even when it comes to like health, like any goal you want to achieve, like when have you felt 100% confident that you can like sustain it by yourself? Like, I have been trying so many different health fads and like all this stuff for years. And finally last week I was like, I need a one-on-one. Like, I need someone to just like dive into like what is really like my personal goals and my needs, because I can consume all of these like free things or try it on my own. But yeah, having momentum and accountability, like Jennifer said, with whatever you want to achieve is the secret. Yeah,
it's interesting about business, so I don't know how we got down this rabbit hole, but with entrepreneurship, like there's the challenge now is that you need someone to hold your hand. And a lot of times we go to these, like our mentors are, like you said, these people who have been successful for 20 or 30 or 40 years, these people have been really successful over the decades. And as I look at it, I'm wondering, why, like, increasingly I'm finding more, like you said, more mentors that are younger, that are maybe less quote unquote successful, but maybe have the tactical knowledge. So I think there's a right place. I'm really about what I call just in time knowledge. And that's just like figuring out what is the skill that you need to learn, like today, like what's the thing you need to focus on today, like learning that, inhaling that, consuming that. And then moving on, because in 2015, I did the opposite. I read 50 books on all different topics, on all just like, it was wild. It was like, my head was exploding with knowledge, and it felt cool. Like it felt really good. Like felt like I was really smart, but I look back on it and nothing really was implemented. Nothing really changed. And so the next year in 2016, I had a kind of a transition, but in 2017, I read like 3 or 4 or 5 different books, but I read those books like a combined 100 times. Like, it was like, I was listening to them on audiobook 6, 7, 8 times in a row. I'd buy the book and go through it multiple times. And it was really about, implementing a concept rather than just feeling good about getting information.
Yeah. If you are jumping on this stream live or later, raise your hand, drop an emoji if you are in information gathering mode. Like we've talked throughout this thing, like all of us trying to learn what is working, what is not working. Like we need to implement, and you need to get into action yesterday because it's going to change tomorrow. And so all these books you're consuming and these different folks you're listening to, they aren't really serving you. They're kind of wasting your time if you're not implementing anything. I go on a rant about information gathering because we gotta learn on our own. And the more people that I see succeed, they were done. Their mindset was done is better than perfect, and I'm not going to improve until I start. So. Yeah,
I'm always big on like iteration, just testing, and I think the challenge that a lot of it's not. They don't teach that in like business school. I got a business degree, I got a marketing degree, and it's like none of what they taught me is relevant because like that came from a place where you built this big strategy and you planned for months and you did it all on this, data that who knows where it came from. And then
you had project managers and red tape and more paperwork.
And the challenge is like, you just need to get out there. So if you take that approach to the internet world, you're never going to get anything out. You're never actually going to launch anything. Like I see so many people who are like, yeah, I'm planning my thing. I'm recording my stuff. I'm like, you're recording your course. No one even knows you have a course. Why are you recording it? Literally, I didn't even record the course until we sold it. Like there's a little secret.
I just gave that secret this morning to clients. It's like, I don't care what your course is. Like find people, and this is what I talked about at the conference, find people in hell and build a bridge to their heaven. You need to be one step ahead of them. You do not need to have your whole 100-page book written. You do not need to have 10 weeks of content. You need to go make relationships, understand where they're at, and help them step by step.
Yeah. People will pay you to take them where they want to go. And there's this thing that like where they feel. It's interesting because they feel like I'm just kind of articulating this now for myself where you feel like they can't get there on their own, but there's this belief that they're capable, right? So it's like, you're helping to pull something out of them that they already know is in there. So it's like, if you can just think about it like that, instead of like, I have to have all the answers or I have to have everything. It's like, no, they already are capable of it. You just need to be that guide that kind of either gives them the push or keeps them on the right path or provides the support or whatever that is. And I think that that's much less of a responsibility than, oh my goodness, I need to give this person every piece of knowledge and information that they need in order to do X.
Yeah. And then that also relates to the fact that you don't need 1,000 customers every month if you're doing these really like hand-holding, huge value for folks. So we have been talking for quite a while. I feel like we get into these great conversations. No matter what we plan on talking about, we come back to.
What I realize is like I love everyone who's watching, and I love all you guys. But for me, it's like just the opportunity to connect with and hang out and have these conversations with you is cool. Like we were hanging out at the bar last weekend, and it's just so funny to say in real life. And I just had this moment where I was like this is so like this is what I think we were talking about, like what I and so many people are starving for is that in real life connections where and on these we get a glimpse of it, and I think that's why people who are on the live video, like shout out to all you guys who are watching live, but like you get a little taste of that. But when you go and connect with people in person or you take that relationship deeper, there's something there that I think people aren't getting. just by posting in Facebook groups or commenting on status.
Yeah, no, I remember it was after everything, like so much value, so many like strategic workshops. I had tons of notes, and you and I were standing at the bar, and so many people were talking, like making like more and more ideas were coming, and like this is all we needed. We just needed a room. Like it's great that we had awesome speakers and like strategy. Like we really just needed the space to like talk. So yes, George, you were one of those folks. Welcome. Thanks for jumping on. I will wrap us up here though. It's like I said, we've been going for a bit here. So any last wisdom bombs or things you want to share with us millennials living the dream?
No, go find me. I've got like 15 spots left on my friends list. So if you gotta act now though.
Yeah, but, you guys, Hector's goes live on his personal page, and he's always, is it daily now? You're always
pretty much, yeah. Usually about 5 a week is what I try and shoot for. So, find me on my personal page if you just want to get more information. It's terrible when people message me and they go, "So tell me what you do," and I'm like, no, go like just scan through my profile, like literally do just 1 ounce of research and I'm like, and you'll find out. So you can find out more for there. And I would just say, this could be your year. It could not be. It could very easily not be. Like there's been plenty of times where you go into the year and it's like, oh, motivated, new me, new year, new me. And then by March, it's like, oh, same old, people ask you, how's it going? And you're like, oh, same old thing. So, or it could not be, you can make a commitment from watching this video or hanging out in Hannah's group, or, there could be something that triggers you to make a decision and say yes to those opportunities and to pick up those hammers that are around you. So, I'm not one for rah and motivation, but I just want to encourage you that, I think both Hanna and I, if we'd look back a year ago from where we were today and where we are last year, like, I'm just so grateful of what happened. Of course, I would have loved to be a million times farther than where I am. But also, if someone would have told me that would have happened, I would have been like, "Fuck yeah! Like that's awesome!" Like that.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Cool. Yeah, I will totally, be grateful for all that. So, a lot can happen in a year if you decide to pick up the tools that are around you.
Yeah, Jennifer just said she made that commitment, and she's picked up a ton of tools in the past couple of months to make sure that's true in 2018. And I believe it is a decision, like Marshall said at the event. You hear people say, oh, for after 20 years, I just finally quit smoking. Mm-hmm. Like it took me this. It's like, no, you've been procrastinating for 20 years. Like you decided in one day to quit smoking, and you all can decide in one day. I know Jennifer took 10 years to decide I'm taking ownership and like I'm committed and I'm going to make it happen. And yeah, today could be your day. Tomorrow could be your day. It's totally up to us. So. Awesome. Thank you so much for your time, you guys. As I always say, Hector is a real person. He's a member of this group, and he just invited you to go check out his personal profile. So yeah, go see what he's up to with millennial skills and HD marketing, and who knows what it'll be later today. So again, thank you so much, my friend. We will talk soon.
See you guys.